You're not allowed any life whatsoever, and you need to stay at home and rot. Otherwise, it doesn't count.
I decided to stitch the end of this because I find it kind of humorous that, yeah, this is exactly what people think. This is exactly what people think. People seem to think that because people who have, whether it's neurodivergency or like a mental health disability or anything like that, and they are claiming DLA if you're a child or PIP if you're an adult, and you're able to either have a hobby or like use social media or something like that, then you shouldn't have that disability. You should be like curling up into a ball and basically, you should be silent. You should be silent. Um, and that's not the case. That's not the case. And it kind of, this is a recurring problem, and I've seen it across social media and also like traditional media and also within our own government. Um, they are penalizing the disabled, the disabled community because what? Like you see 10% of the day. You see 10% of my day, you see 10% of other people's day. You don't see the chronic pain, the chronic illnesses that a lot of people deal with. Yes, there is a very, very, very small minority that are blagging the system. And because you pinpoint that small minority that are blagging the system, you tarnish all of us with that same brush. And it's really disgusting to see. And it kind of creates a stigma, and it doesn't create the stigma. This stigma has been going on for years, for absolute years. And it makes me kind of angry because the disabled community, the chronic community, the chronic illness community has been targeted for years at this point, because the wealthy, the rich and wealthy, the people that should be targeted, in my opinion, um, aren't. And it, you know, the people in power, should we say, have always done this. They are making they are making sure that the marginalized communities are the ones that get penalized, are the ones that get harmed. Um, yes, chronically ill people have hobbies. Now, have I been on holiday? Yes, but never abroad. Don't have a passport, but that's beside the point. Um, yeah, I've been like to Blackpool and like to different locations with my partner, sure. Um, what am I supposed to just wither and die in this house? Is that how that's supposed to be because I claim PIP? Which by the way, that do you want to know how degrading that is? How degrading those assessments are? They're really degrading, especially for somebody who has to fight for their independence. I'm caught between a rock and a hard place because I have my limitations. Sure, I have very bad limitations. But still, I have to fight for just a little bit of independence. But those PIP assessments are really degrading, and they're not easy to get. It's not easy to get. I got declined the first time and had to fight for the second time. But yes, there are people that blag the system. Of course there are. Of course there are. In any society, you're going to get that. But that doesn't mean you get to tarnish everyone with the same brush, you know? And that's the reason why I clipped the end of that, because it's just like, oh, we're expected to just rot. That's exactly what people expect. And I've seen the discourse. I've seen the discourse of, you know, people expect people who have a disability to just sit there and rot and not have a hobby and not come on social media and not express their opinion. That's exactly what you all expect us to do. You expect us to do that. And because we are able to come on for like a short period of a time to come and talk. And because we're able to have our hobbies, because we can speak, oh, then you're not allowed to have a disability. That's not how that works. That's not how that works. Um, I think people show their ignorance when they do that. They show their ignorance, to be honest. They show their ignorance, and they show that they don't show compassion, and they don't show empathy, and they show that they are very ignorant of how the system actually works, and they show that they would rather have, because let's face it, this has been a recurring problem throughout many, many years. And it takes me back to my childhood where it's just like, oh, you don't have a disability because you're not in a wheelchair, because you're not blind, because you're not deaf, because there's not a physical. I mean, yes, I've got keloid scarring, so I do have a physical disability as well. But because a lot of my disabilities are to do with my mental health and like things like that, um, people literally tell me, "You don't have a disability." Why? Because I'm not blind, deaf, or in a wheelchair. That's exactly how that reads. And even then, it's just totally disgusting because uh, at the end of the day, people who claim PIP, there are people that are able to work and do claim PIP as well. But for those people who, excuse me, for those people who do claim PIP and are unable to work, this is our outlet. Social media is our outlet, and also hobbies are our outlet as well. We're not just going to sit and wither and die, because literally that's that's no life. That's no life. Sorry, this was a bit of a rant.